All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Apologies due to the fact that the live feed was not working properly, but nonetheless, we're going to get this done. I wanted to talk about the New York Knicks. Why? Because only the Knicks could find a way to take their best moment in the last 25 years and ruin it, which they did, in my opinion. Okay, we just saw the Knicks make the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time since 2000. But then New York surprised a lot of people when they decided to fire head coach Tom Thibodeau after 5 years on the job. And firing Tibbs's replace or finding Tibbs's replacement rather is not going according to plan for the Knicks. Now, the Knicks have expressed interest in talking to the head coaches of the Houston Rockets, Dallas Mavericks, Atlanta Hawks, Chicago Bulls, and Minnesota Timberwolves. But all five of these teams have denied the Knicks' request to talk to their current head coaches. We've also seen longtime Villanova head coach Jay Wright say that he's not interested in coaching the Knicks, in spite of the fact that three of his former players that he won a national championship with at Villanova currently play for New York. Wright's not the only head coach that was in college or is currently in college that has said no to the Knicks, as Rick Pitino said thanks but no thanks, and he's going to continue to coach at Madison Square Garden, but he's going to be coaching St. John's. And then the same goes for Dan Hurley, who is quite content remaining at Connecticut. And like I said the other day, okay, the Knicks head coaching job is not as glamorous as some people would lead you to believe that it is. And New York's front office, in my opinion, okay, is really going to have to roll up their sleeves in order to find a replacement for Tibbs this summer. Now, there are rumors out there that the Knicks could be interested in veteran head coach Mike Brown, who was just let go by the Sacramento Kings during the regular season, or Taylor Jenkins, who was also let go during the regular season by the Memphis Grizzlies. But at the end of the day, the Knicks are going to have to settle for somebody that they may not want. Why? Because I liken this to a guy who had a date for the prom and canceled on her because he figures, you know what, I can go out there and get myself a date with a hotter girl. And guess what? All of the hot girls are not interested in you, and you've already canceled your date. That's basically what the Knicks have done right here as far as their head coaching search. And day by day, they're just simply making themselves look a little bit worse each day for parting with Tibbs. And also, let's not gloss over the fact it wasn't long ago that the Knicks also gave Tom Thibodeau a contract extension. So now you got to go out there and find yourself a new head coach to replace Tibbs, and you're still paying Tibbs. But even with all of that, let's just say one of these head coaches that the Knicks were interested in did want to come to New York. And you heard rumors that there was mutual interest between the Knicks and Jason Kidd, who is the current head coach of the Dallas Mavericks. But the bottom line is, excuse me, the Knicks do not have the assets to go out there and compensate one of these teams for poaching their head coach. And the Knicks, at the end of the day, they did it to themselves. You go back to last summer, excuse me, when the Knicks gave the Brooklyn Nets five first round picks, four of them unprotected for Mikal Bridges. And it's one of those where Mikal Bridges is a good player. He's a quality player. He's not a star. And you've got to be careful when you're giving up that much for a guy who's not going to put you over the top. Mikal Bridges is a solid three, could possibly be a two. But if you're going to give up that much draft compensation, you better be making sure that you're getting the guy. You didn't get the guy, and now you've lost some flexibility if you're the Knicks to go out there and possibly have made a move like this, or possibly go out there and get yourself another star player to put on this team for next year. And when it's all said and done, Okay. Like I said, the Knicks are going to find themselves settling for a head coach instead of hiring somebody that they want. Excuse me. And my thing is this: if you're going to end up settling on somebody, you have to ask yourself, is that person better than Tom Thibodeau? And right now, from where I'm sitting at, the answer is no. But again, like I said, this simply screams of James Dolan not being able to leave well enough alone. I'm not here to say that Tibbs was the next coming of Red Auerbach, but Tibbs has been a successful coach throughout his NBA tenure, regardless of where he's been. But at the same time, you know the narrative with Tibbs, and it's true. He wears the starters out. He doesn't utilize his bench. But like I've been saying, take away the 5 years that Tibbs had with the Knicks. What has this organization done coaching wise since the days of Jeff Van Gundy? Absolutely nothing. Okay. And this is where the Knicks find themselves again. This is a tough spot for whomever the head coach is going to be. You got to go in there and you're taking over a team that a lot of people, have championship expectations about. You've got to deal with the media. You've got to deal with the fans. You've got to deal with New York City as a whole. And more importantly, you have to deal with James Dolan, the meddling owner who is also a petulant child. There's also been talks about Michael Malone, the former Denver Nuggets head coach. Now, Mike Malone will build a winner, okay, if you give him time. But Mike Malone is another Tibbs, and you're going to have to pay Mike Malone a handsome dollar, being that he has a championship on his resume. And again, like I said, you're still paying Tibbs. Johnny Bryant, the Cleveland Cavaliers assistant head coach who spent, several years on Tibbs' staff with the Knicks. Would you bring him into the fray? But again, no previous head coaching experience. Okay, does know what it takes to work for the Knicks organization? But again, he would now be finding himself in the pressure cooker. But again, like I said before, this falls into the lap of James Dolan, and it also falls into the lap of Leon Rose. They're the people who are making this decision. And again, the grass is not always greener. If you wanted to part with Tibbs, fine. That's your prerogative. I've got no beef with that. If you felt that, you can't go any further with Tibbs as your head coach, fine. But you better make sure that you have his replacement, and you better make sure that, you have somebody who's going to be better than Tibbs. Also, like I said before, when the Knicks lost to the Indiana Pacers in the conference finals, I said the Knicks spent last offseason putting together a team that could beat the Boston Celtics, a team that they did not face last year in the playoffs. Okay, but they did come into the season as the defending NBA champs. The Knicks didn't upgrade anything to try to go out there and beat the Pacers. The same Pacers team that knocked them out in the conference semis last year, and of course this year in the conference finals. And I think that right there was the Knicks' undoing because they had nothing to answer for in getting past the Pacers. I know Tibbs, made one adjustment, in game three of that series. He put Josh Hart on the bench in favor of Mitchell Robinson, but that's not going to be enough to combat a team the quality of Indiana. And at the end of the day, Indiana might, go ahead and win this NBA championship. And I'm not trying to say that to slight the Pacers because I actually picked the Pacers in this series. So if you're the Knicks, you could sit back and say, well, we lost to the NBA champions for the season. It's a possibility, but again, like I said before, the bottom line is the Knicks simply screwed this up. James Dolan simply screwed this up, and now more than likely you're not going to find somebody who is better than the guy you fired. And you're bringing that person in to a team that has championship aspirations. All I could say is good luck. But it wouldn't be the Knicks, and more importantly, it would not be James Dolan if he did not find a way to screw this thing up. But folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for checking it out. You know what to do. If you like what you heard and saw, please feel free to hit that like button as well as subscribing to the channel. Like I always say, it's greatly appreciated. Also, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, you can check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports. And if you give me that follow, I'll give you that follow right back. The same thing goes for Instagram, where you can check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge. You give me that follow, I'll give you that follow right back there as well. Also, you can check us out on Facebook on the Sports Depot 365. And as far as I'm concerned, what are the better sports debating sites going on social media? Once again, apologies for the live feed not working properly tonight. I'm not sure what was up with that. But nonetheless, definitely wanted to get this podcast and this take out there and let everybody check it out. Let me know what you think. But until next time, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off and I'm saying thanks once again for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.